Greetings, one and all. I hope you're all sitting comfortably, boys and girls, as it's time for NHL Story Time. This is a new idea that I have for a series where we take a look at different stories or events that created iconic moments, changed players' careers, or changed the league itself forever. If you guys like this video and the concept, please do let me know in the comments below, as I will only continue this series if you guys want more. Now that everything has been explained, without further ado, we shall take a look at 5 lesser-known tales of the National Hockey League. Our first tale features the rise and fall of the first ever Pennsylvanian NHL team. Now, everybody knows about the Philadelphia Flyers and the Pittsburgh Penguins and how they entered the league in 1967 as part of the expansion draft, but how many of you knew that there was a team in Pennsylvania before the expansion era? In 1927, the NHL introduced the Pittsburgh Pirates into the league as the third American-based NHL team. The Pirates got off to a great start, making the playoffs in 2 of their first 3 seasons. But the team began to falter at the box office and on ice. The Wall Street crash of 1929 and the following Great Depression forced the owners of the Pirates to sell off their best players just to make ends meet. And by the 1929-30 season, the team was $400,000 in debt, which is roughly $5.6 million in today's currency. So that's a lot of money. Also, the team's arena supposedly was not suitable for an NHL team, so the Pirates moved to Philadelphia and were renamed the Quakers until a new arena was built in Pittsburgh. However, things did not turn out very well for the Philadelphia Quakers as their financial woes continued. Their team played to an awful 4 wins, 36 losses, 4 overtime loss record, and they had the worst offense and worst defense of the entire league. At the end of the season, the Quakers, along with the original Ottawa Senators, announced that they would not field a team for the 1931-32 season, and thus ended hockey in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh until the arrival of the Flyers and Penguins in the 1967 expansion draft. That's pretty interesting, isn't it? Like, I didn't actually know about this. I mean, doing this NHL Storytime stuff, it's actually given me a chance to look at some things that I might not have known before. Next up, we have the tale of the Kris Draper trade. Now, most of you diehard hockey fans, you'll likely know about this one already, but I just love how things turned out in this scenario. So, the tale. Let me take you back to the 1989 NHL entry draft, when one Kris Draper was drafted 62nd overall by the original Winnipeg Jets. Fast forward slightly to the 1992-1993 season, where Kris Draper had played 20 games with the Winnipeg Jets over the last 3 seasons, and had only scored 3 goals, and tallied no assists, so it was 3 goals in 20 games. The Jets decided they didn't want to keep a hold of their second-round pick Draper, and on June 30th, 1993, Draper was traded by the Jets to the Detroit Red Wings for $1. $1. No, I'm not kidding. $1 whole dollar. Of course, hindsight is always 20/20, and there was no way of knowing how exactly things would pan out, but Draper certainly found a home in Motor City, where he played on the famous grind line and had over 1,100 NHL games played, scored over 100 goals, and finished with a career plus-minus of plus 72. Not bad for a dollar store bargain. Now, the real question is, was the dollar American or Canadian? Now, our third tale is a lot sadder than the other entries, but it is a touching tale nonetheless. This story refers to the first number retired by the Pittsburgh Penguins. Michel Briere was selected in the 3rd round of the 1969 NHL Amateur Draft by the Pittsburgh Penguins, after scoring 320 points in 100 games in his junior year that year. He made it straight to the NHL and finished his rookie season with 12 goals, 32 assists and 44 points, which put him 3rd on team scoring. Briere also scored 5 goals, including 3 game winners, and had 3 assists for 8 points in 10 games in the playoffs, as the Penguins fell 2 wins short of reaching the Stanley Cup final. It was the St. Louis Blues that made the final. Briere drew comparisons to Phil Esposito and Bobby Clarke and was predicted to become a top NHL player after being named Penguins Rookie of the Year that year. Many scouts were very high on Michel Briere. However, Briere was involved in a single car crash on May 15th, 1970, and after being in a coma for 11 months, Briere passed away. No one ever wore Briere's number 21 ever again for the Pittsburgh Penguins, although his number was not officially retired until 2001. Briere is the only other number, aside from Mario Lemieux's number 66, that has been retired by the Pittsburgh Penguins team so far. Bonus facts: the QMJHL renamed its MVP award to the Michel Briere Memorial Trophy in 1972, and the Penguins also present the Michel Briere Rookie of the Year award annually to the team's best rookie that year. Penultimately, our fourth tale takes a look at hockey icon Don Cherry and his illustrious NHL playing career. Everybody knows Don Cherry on Hockey Night in Canada for his controversial views, his inability to back down, and his brash demeanour. However, after finding out his playing stats, he is very much a guy who can talk the talk, but not walk the walk. Don Cherry played one NHL game in his 20-year playing career. One game. It was a playoff game. It was in the 1955 playoffs. It was for the Boston Bruins, and he recorded 0 points. Don Cherry never recorded a point in the NHL. He is more than happy to criticise NHL players and their actions today, when he couldn't even play more than a single game. Of course, Don Cherry did have more success as a coach for the Boston Bruins, where he lost in the finals in 2 straight years. But at least he got to play a game in the NHL, right? Finally, we shall finish this story time with the tale of Gordie Howe and how his NHL career began. Gordie Howe was an ambidextrous player. Ambidextrous, that's right, who had the ability to shoot either right-handed or left-handed, so he was very rare for his time. In 1943, at 15 years old, Gordie Howe was invited by the New York Rangers to their training camp, and he played well enough that he was offered a C form, which is a type of contract which would have given the New York Rangers Gordie Howe's NHL rights, and would make Gordie Howe play that year at a school in Notre Dame, or Notre Dame, it's Notre Dame, isn't it? That was known for making very good hockey players. However, Howe rejected the offer as he wanted to go back home and play hockey with his friends. Very nice sentiment. I mean, as a Rangers fan, I would have liked to have Howe, but that's beside the point. The next year, Howe was noticed by the Detroit Red Wings and was invited to their training camp. Howe then signed a C form with the Detroit Red Wings, toiled about in the minors for a few years before debuting for the Wings on October 6th, 1946. And of course, the rest is history. It's crazy to think that if he'd just signed that form the year before as a 15-year-old, that Gordie Howe would have been playing for the New York Rangers instead of the Detroit Red Wings. How different his career would have been, and how different the whole league would have been if he'd played for the New York Rangers. As a Rangers fan, I would have loved that, but I'm glad that Howe played for the Red Wings because he had such an amazing career. But it's a very interesting thing to think about. How would things have been different if he'd actually signed with the New York Rangers at that point? Would things have gone better for him, gone worse? Who knows? It's one of those if-only situations that we'll never get the answer to. But there you have it. Story time is over. What do you think about this series idea? Do you like it, hate it, or do you not really care? Let me know in the comments below. Your feedback will determine whether I make another episode. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.